Pastor.
Where are you from?
I'm from Mobile, Alabama.
What part?
I moved around a lot, but mostly reside in this side of town.
West
The
Mobile?
west side, yes.
Okay. I asked because I'm actually from Tomanville.
Okay.
Yeah, I born and raised in Tomanville, and actually moved to Theodore when my grandmother passed away, and that was a culture shock. Going from predominantly black neighborhoods to mixed, neighborhoods to predominantly white neighborhoods. It was like, what's going on, you know? So it was a little bit of a jump for me.
Of course.
And then I went to Alabama A&M University for college.
Bulldogs.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
A&M. And yeah, I'm a little bit rounded as far as demographic goes. So that's probably plays a part in why I like hearing people's point of view on things and life. So yeah. So tell me a little bit about y'all, just background.
Well, I was originally born here in Mobile and got married, moved to Detroit, Michigan. I was there for Detroit, Michigan. So I've been back here in Mobile for about a year and a half now. So God has sent me back on a divine assignment. I have 2 boys, 22 and 24. So all men. Divorced for 2 years. I tell even that side of my story. And I'm just,
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that transparency is important because just like I think the thing about marriage, and this is just me.
Okay.
I think the idea of love has been romanticized to the point of an extreme. I'll explain why. Look at social media. Everyone has the big, grandiose,
Picture
proposal,
perfect.
and everybody wants to copy each other. Do this in front of me. Go live. Everybody do that. Before I get married, and the only reason I'm saying this is because I'll be candid with you guys.
Okay.
Every marriage in my family, every single one, has ended in divorce.
Wow.
So there's a disconnect somewhere.
Yes.
And I attribute that to 2 things. One, people are still growing. You'll be 30. The 30-year-old you will never be the 40-year-old you.
That's
the 40-year-old you will not be the 50-year-old. So on, so on, so on. I think we need to come to terms with that. And I think that whole mindset of I just am the way I am is toxic. We need to eliminate that. Not only that, I think we are too hung up on the idea of what happens in this house stays in this house. Because I feel like we all need some form of therapy. I feel like there are 3 facets to every person. You got the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. When one is lacking, the other 2 suffer.
Yes.
You have to find, I'm not saying it has to be a perfect balance, but you have to find a balance for each one. Because if one is too strong in a marriage, it's going to reflect. It might make that other half of you, the other person, spiteful of that characteristic that you're strong in. So I think that personally, before I even consider marriage, counseling. That's what I'm going through now. I'm going through therapy to deal with stuff for myself because I don't want to go into something damaged.
That's the key.
I feel like this. If I marry you, that's it. Because it ain't just you and I now. It's me, you, and God. That's a covenant. That's
3-chord string.
Bind. I'm saying, hey God, this her forever.
What are we gonna do about it?
Right. So that's where I'm at with the concept of love. But you see all the pretty things, the shiny things about love and marriage, but you don't see the tears, the heartache, the frustration, the upset nights, the give me the cover, don't talk to me.
The compromise.
Right. You don't see any of that.
And you have to be able to nourish all 3 sides. You have to be able to nourish them because we are a 2-sided being. We're natural and spiritual. So we cannot be all spiritual and not natural, and we can't be all natural and not spiritual. So we have to know, even in kingdom marriages, that we learn to nourish, those, especially those that are in marriages that are in leadership. They have to know how to be that leader when you're in that leader role. But when you come home, your husband, your wife, and you deal with them according to that level. And I think that's where the You know, I think that's where the mishap have come.
Yeah.
You know, we try, especially in the church world, and I like to relay it back to the church because that's what I mainly focus on, but we try to convey this big picture of what marriage is supposed to be among leaders, among ministers, among people of God, you know, and it's not telling the truth. It's not showing the people of God that we are leaders, but we have issues. We are leaders, but we got to learn how to communicate. We are leaders, but we have, you know, we have a shortcoming. So, you know, I believe if we really just put God in the center, the Bible says that three chord string cannot easily be broken. So we keep God in the center. There's nothing that we can work.
I'm with that. I appreciate you saying that. Like I said, these are thoughts I've had for years, and the problem is when I present these thoughts, people are so shook when I challenge them on it that I disrupt their way of being. You know, sometimes people are content in being stagnant, and I'm all against that. Listen, if your basis is stagnant, we need to break that up, rip that Band-Aid off, get some air in it, let it heal, so you can build.
I like that.
Because I can't build on the house of lies.
I like that.
Because it comes down the line, 20 years in, I'm not going to be that guy that's 70 and be like, man, if we just would have went to counseling and dealt with that before, she'd still be here with me. No, I'm not going to do that. Nope. If I propose a ring, I need to be on point.
Yeah.
And what I like about marriage, I would just give everybody, all of the singles, a word of advice. Marriage is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And it's not hard.
Yeah.
You know, we think we have to make all these preparations for it to work.
Right.
Only thing we have to do is just have a heart of God. When you have a heart of God, God's heart is love.
Yes.
And if the man love his wife as God loved the church, and if the wife know what true submission is, true submission is honoring and reverence each other. The man submitting to her, she submitting to him. And once we get those basics, see, counseling can't teach you that. Right. That's something the Word of God has to teach you.
That's true.
There's something you have to know within yourself, like you said yourself. You say, when I go in, I'm going in for the long haul.
Yes.
Right.
It ain't no divorce. This is who I'm married. This is my soulmate. This is my helpmate, who God has given me. So I'm going in for the long haul. And those are the things that you two have to discuss prior to marrying. Look, are you sure this is what you want to do?
Right.
If you don't want to do it, I'm okay with that. Let's stop it right now. Right. But let's not walk into such a vow to God, because the Bible says it's better not to make a vow than to make one and break it. So it's best, let's talk now. Right. We in this thing for the long haul. I'm imperfect. You're going to not like me some days, but know that you're going to always love me. And I'm going to always love you. Like and love is different. And once we know that we may not like each other some days, but it has nothing to do with the love, and you can make it. Right. It's not that hard. It's so simple. Marriage is so simple. I was married for 23 years. 23 years from the age of 18. Oh, man. Got married straight out of high school. Good marriage. We had our issues. Good marriage. So it's nothing bad I could say. I could just say that that phase of my life.
I can understand that.
You know, sometimes people are destined to you for a certain phase and a certain walk and a certain season. And I just think that season of my life had come to an end. Right. So I'm happy now because I can minister to both married and single.
Yes.
That's right.
I couldn't minister to single when I've been married all my life.
Multiple hats we were talking about earlier.
Multiple hats. So now I can minister to the single women and say, I know what it's like to pray and ask God to keep you. And yes, you can live saved and single. And
Okay, you want to input on it? Because
well, to piggyback off of what Miss Prophetess had said, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I think at today's age, marriage, like you said, you know, it's all about the gimmicks and tricks, and let's post this on live, you know, Instagram, you know. But I consider myself an old soul, and my boyfriend as well. We met in church, you know, but I would say straight out of high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But one day in my room, God just led me to turn on the gospel channel, you know, gospel station. And from that on, I picked up the Bible. I read it. I didn't know what I was reading, but I prayed and asked God, please give me understanding of this. And few months later after that, I went to go visit a church with my family, and that's where I met my boyfriend. And he would think he's a scholar in the Bible, but he doesn't lead on his own understanding. He completely comes to God first about everything. And 5 years later, we are walking down that avenue of looking to get married, wanting to get married. We want to fulfill the covenant of God. That's important. It's important nowadays that we just we do it right. Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I think that's where like we were saying, there's multiple disconnects. There's I won't say disconnects, because I feel like that's a bit too harsh. I think there are inadequacies or inaccuracies.
That's a good word.
And one thing you touched on, I want to circle back to, and I appreciate us having this candid conversation. I appreciate you, both of you, because I always think that's important. If you're going to relate to somebody, you got to be prepared to tell the truth.
Yes.
Your truth. So submission. I think that's where a lot of people get turned off because they misunderstand submission. I think that when people hear that, they're thinking that, oh, I just got to do whatever you say. No. This is a partnership. You're submitting into both of each other. And I think that miscommunication there is what turns so many people off. They feel like it's a form of servitude. And don't get me wrong, I have seen in the past where that has been twisted to mean servitude, and that's not what it means. It's being equally yoked to each other, understanding and complimenting each other and serving each other, because like we said, this is as much as about the woman serving the man as it is the man serving the woman, and both of you serving God together. So I think if more people looked at it in that respect, more people would understand and be less abrasive to the idea of submission, because you're going to submit to something. I found it interesting that one day, one of my favorite writers, Nikki Giovanni, I absolutely love her as a poetess, absolutely flawless. And I also love James Baldwin. They had a debate about submission. And Nikki made it make sense to me as to why so many people are abrasive about submission. Nikki and I, Nikki is very, candid and a little bit vulgar, but the message was there.
Clear.
She was saying that I watched my dad serve his master at work and come home and beat my mom when my mom would love him. So if you're going to do anything, come home and apply that same mindset to my mom, who upholds you the same way. And she said, I'm so afraid of getting married because they say we often marry the guy we see in our fathers, and I don't want to marry my dad. He's a cool cat, but I don't want to marry my dad. And I think that can play a part into certain people. I think a relationship with your father and your mother does matriculate to you and your perception of women or men. So I think once we make it cool again, to because that's what it is. It's cool now to diss each other. Right. Once we learn love again as a community, I think it'll be easier. So I think that's a generational curse we got to break.
Yes.
I was about to say generational curse, and as well as a mindset has to change, because when you learn who you are, when you love you won't tolerate and you won't accept any type of behavior. And sometimes coming up in a home that she mentioned, it can work two ways. It can drive you to be a better person, or it can allow you to be held in bondage under that generational curse. But most of the time when you learn self-love, and I often tell this to the people that I speak to, self-love is the best love. You cannot love a husband, or you can't love a wife until you love you. Because you have to learn how to love. It's, a baby, you don't have to teach them how to lie. They're born to lie. But we have to learn how to love. And most of the times, as it's not a race thing, as a cultural thing, but most of the time we're not seeing the true love being displayed, whether in churches, whether in schools, whether in the workplace. Everybody's, against each other, crabs in the bucket. It's easy to say harsh words than to tell a young lady, you look pretty today, you're so beautiful, So sometimes it's hard to do that. So we as the people, we that has gotten it, we that has grasped it, we got to be the change that we want to see. We have to be the change that we want to see. And I just kind of wanted to tap back onto the submission part. When I talked about submission being honor and respect for one another, it's easy to submit to that you respect. The law, we're going to respect the law. So we're going to submit to the law, right? Because we're going to respect it. The same way in our marriages, the same way in leadership and ministries, the same way in bosses on jobs. You know, when you have respect, you submit.
That's true.
The breakdown is when the respect is not there. When you feel as though a boss is prejudiced, or when you feel as though a boss is treating you one way, it's hard for you to submit now because you don't have the respect of that individual like you need to have, as you know, with them being a boss. So it just goes back to honor and respect.
I agree. I'm gonna throw a tidbit there from an interview I did last week, actually. A gentleman, his name is Lendrick Holmes. He was the first African-American male in Alabama to beat sickle cell anemia with gene therapy. And I got a chance to interview him. He said something really interesting that I'd never heard before. He told me that respect is the currency for the goods that is respect. Respect is the currency for the goods that is communication. So in order for someone to communicate with you effectively, because it's easy to tell someone something, but it doesn't have true value. Those words don't hold weight unless that person reciprocates respect with you. Think about it. How many times, you're fine. How many times have you had a concept in mind or wanted to tell someone how to do something that they were doing incorrectly, and you just told them and then they just brushed it off? But when you approach them respectfully, you know, with the intent of teaching, not telling, I think people are more reciprocal, you know, receiving of that message.
And not only that, but being an example. I tell the people in the church, you know, we are the only Bible that some people would read. We can preach the word, we can quote scriptures, we can do all of this profound stuff, but what are they seeing in you? What are they seeing being exemplified through your living, through your life, through, you know, what?
All right. Are you okay? Because
I'm fine.
Because you
She just got up and just left.
Yeah, I was like, you listen.
Felt like my lips were chapped, so.
No, you could tell me pause, and I'll stop it that way, because I might save some of this conversation. So just give me a heads up next time. Is the air too much or anything?
No.
Because it was hot in here when I got here. But no, I agree with you. I appreciate you saying that.
I just think that we have to be the example. You know, what we present holds far greater weight than what we say.
I agree. I think the minister outside of the church is the minister that most people need to see, because if the church is the place where the healed is sick, the sick people who really need it aren't always in the church. Most of them are out in the streets and don't know they're sick. But when you're approachable, when they see you actually doing that work, you know, seeing that you're approachable, seeing that you're on common ground. Because another thing, I think people have a misconception of Jesus. Jesus was one of the people that was like, I'd rather be out here doing the work. You know, Pharisees, y'all want some other stuff.
Tapping into my book.
Let me go out here where everybody else at. And the thing I enjoyed the most is that the disciples he chose weren't these perfect people. They were different facets of every person. If I was anybody of those 11, I'll be Thomas. I am the doubter. You're going to have to show me. You just can't tell me and I just up and believe. Nah, I'm skeptical, because that's a facet of man. And I think God chose those people for a reason to see. You know, even when it comes to Judas Iscariot. And you've betrayed someone because you're human. You are from sin. You know, you're a derivative of the original sin. So those characteristics just to show that these people are not perfect, and this imperfect person played a part in the death of Christ, just to show you that we're all on the same level, if that makes sense. We're all capable of something destructive in a different way. So that way, when you feel like, oh, God wouldn't forgive me, there's no reason why you wouldn't. There's no reason why you wouldn't. No matter how bad you feel that you are, no matter how down you might be on yourself, you are no worse than even the worst that God's dealt with. So, why let that be an issue? But with that being said, we'll jump right into it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of A Business Minute. See, I'm good with it. My name is Sir, and I'm here with two guests today, and I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. We'll start with you, Miss Tangi.
Okay, my name is Prophetess Tangi Dunning. I am the founder and the visionary of Led by God Ministry, which is a ministry of inner healing, intercession, and outreach that God has allowed me to oversee for a time such as this. So That's who I am.
All right. What about you?
I am Victoria Graham, and I am a part of Heal My Sister Ministries. I wouldn't Heal My Sister. I think it's more so like it's more than just Heal My Sister. It's Heal My Brother, and I'm glad that I'm a part of such a awesome organization.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
And when she spoke of Heal My Sister is one of the facets from Led by God Ministry, which is a sisterhood that has been created by God himself. Everything concerning this ministry, about this ministry, was created and orchestrated by God. And he just used me as the faucet to carry it out here on earth. But Heal My Sister is a sisterhood for women that has been broken, torn, abused, whether by relationships, church hurt, low self-esteem, abuse. We come together in a out of the box type setting, and it's like our motto is relax, release, relate, and relax is our motto.
Okay.
So everybody can always relate to something. You know, you may have a story, I can relate to your story. So that's what Heal My Sister is about. It's a facet from Led by God Ministry, as well as Led by God also have a book, The Search for the True Church, which is another facet of the ministry. So that's who we are.
Yes.
All right. And how long have you guys been doing this together? Well, with you know, being prophetess and God gave me the ministry, Led by God Ministry, back in 2015. That's when I was in Detroit, Michigan, when God gave me the vision of it. I began to write it out, follow his leading, his instructions concerning it. So we've been up and moving since 2015. 2019, was it 19 or 18? March.
End of 2000?
March of this year, 2019, was the first birthing of Heal My Sister.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You guys are coming up on your first year, so kudos to y'all.
Yes.
Keep it going.
Yes.
So, with Heal My Sister and with your ministry, what really inspired you guys to kind of reach out and really, because the first thing that everything starts with an idea or a plan, but taking those few steps to get it going, what really inspired you guys to get those gears turning?
My years of being saved, being a Christian, walking with God, even before ministry, the Lord would always allow me to see people being hurt in the church. He's always allowed me to see people come in and leave out the same way they went in, came in the doors. Okay. He allowed me to hear the whispering of the voices of those that were considered to be least that came in, and it grieved my spirit. It vexed my spirit, because I always see people as who they are, as a person, no matter what walk of life they are, no matter where they came from. I always see people as who they are. They are children of God. So that kind of ignited me to move forward in what God had told me. And he told me to go out into the hedges and highways and to compel to his people who he is. And I said, Lord, what do you mean by that? He said, just do what you do. And that's display love. And he began to minister to me and let me know that if we miss love, we've already missed God. And everything that we're doing is none and void. Right. So God said, just go out. I went out, not knowing what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, not knowing where the finances was coming from, but I just felt the leading of God. And I stepped out, and it was a phenomenal move in the area of Detroit, Michigan.
All right. What about with Heal My Sister? What was the driving force behind that with you?
Well, I could just take you back to the beginning. What was that? Earlier this year, in January, I was going through some things, and I'm being candid. I was going through anxiety issues. The enemy was attacking me hard with anxiety. I tell anyone, 3 months, I was in the bed having panic attacks every day, and my mom, she was on the sofa and she was listening to Prophetess Dunning, and I was like, Mom, who's that? Who are you listening to? And she told me who it was. And I'm usually kind of weary about about people on Facebook and things. But I thank God that He gave me discernment to weed through it. But when I listened to Prophetess Dunning the first time, it was like, man, this woman is truly she's anointed. And through her, God had used her to minister to me, and the healing was starting to take place. And I tell that's part of my testimony. How the enemy would try to use certain things against you, but I thank God that He sent Prophetess Dunning into my life to help me guide through that. Yeah.
It's funny how the internet can be a medium where no, really, I mean it is definitely a medium that can be used for the healing of people, and it's just funny hearing someone else's voice can heal you. I'm brought back to the story of the woman with the issue of blood. If I could just get the hem of his garment, and essentially that's what you did. You got a piece of it. You just heard. You didn't necessarily see it. Just who is that? But you recognized it when you heard it. Discernment stepped in, because I'm pretty sure she heard all types of people talking. But it's just the presence of God will speak for itself. Is what I'm saying. So that's cool. Yes. Go ahead.
When she was talking about the inner healing. Inner healing is the facet of what this ministry is about, because the churches are missing inner healing.
Yes.
They're jumping over it, they're shouting over it, they want to dance and speak in tongues over it, but you're still going home dealing with rejection, dealing with abandonment, dealing with wounds that have cut real deep. And the Lord began to minister to me concerning inner healing. I had to go through inner healing. I didn't know I needed inner healing until God exposed it in me. So when I began to go through inner healing of dealing with leaders that had mishandled me, leaders that could not, well, I wouldn't say could not, leaders that saw the call that was on my life and refused to cultivate, refused to push me to my purpose, and yet instead they wounded this babe in Christ. They wounded this eager new believer that was so zealous for God. So I didn't know at the time that I had wounds that ran deep, as well as rejection going all the way back to my childhood, dealing with my dad. These things that I did not realize I needed until God began to show me. And once God began to show me, He sent me to a ministry similar to Led by God. And He didn't allow me to minister. He had me to sit for a 3-year span. And as I was sitting, the woman of God would just minister healing to my spirit, just minister the word of God, would just love on me in ways that, that only God could use her to do. So inner healing is so very important and needful in the church. Yes. But it's very rarely seen.
I agree.
Very rarely, because it takes time.
You just said
you can't just preach a sermon and she's healed.
Right.
You can't just lay hands and she's healed.
Right.
You got to walk a person through inner healing. You may have to counsel them. You may have to spend time with them. You may have to
suffer with them.
Feel the pain, cry with them. And you have to have the heart of God in order to minister inner healing. Not a title, not a position, not a platform, but you got to have God's heart in order to minister inner healing.
Right. How you feel that in your stomach? That's what I got.
That's good.
Goodness.
Yeah.
All right. So, over these this past year, with this ministry and with what you guys have been planning, I often like to reflect both sides of the spectrum, the good and the bad, just because I don't think it's fair to tell about the good experiences and not talk about the bad experiences, because that can be disheartening. When you tell someone, oh, you're just going to go down this road and it's going to be pleasant, and they start hitting potholes, you're like, wait a minute, man, they ain't telling me about this. So with that being the question, what were some of the obstacles that you guys encountered and overcame over this past year?
It's funny that you say that about the obstacles and how we like to just present the good. Even with Christianity, a lot of times people think their walk with Christ, once I accept the Lord, it's all good now. I'm not going to suffer anything. I'm going to be on the mountaintop all the time. But the Bible simply said, except you pick up your cross and follow me. The cross don't feel good, but it's necessary for our journey. And I would say some of the things that I encountered in carrying out my purpose on this earth is that loneliness. I found that I've dealt with a lot of jealousy, even within the church, which what embarked the book, The Search for the True Church. I've dealt with a lot of, I would have to say that's the most part of it, is not being accepted by those that you're supposed to be a part of.
Right.
Not being accepted by the church, but being accepted by those that God has sent us to minister to. So I would say that would be the hardest thing. Is the rejection part of it. It's knowing that people are walking with you, but they're not really for you. The Judases.
Yeah.
The Judases.
They out there.
But even in the Judases, I understand that Judas was necessary for his journey. It had to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I would encourage the people of God to not focus so much, because when I look at Facebook, it's always hater this and hater that, my hater this. And, we we're magnifying the work of the enemy, but we're going to have haters because Jesus had them. He did not let it deter him, distract him, nor distort him from his purpose. It kept him focused, and it helps to drive him. It helped to drive him to what he had to do.
I agree with that. I think in the grand scheme of things, like we were saying earlier, you have to embrace your Judas, because it's necessarily for your evolution. You can't, you got to develop tough skin. And sometimes you need to develop tough skin from those people that are closest to you. So when those exterior threats come, you can, I've been through that.
That's good. That's good.
When someone nearest you has the knife in your back, you can adapt to it, reevaluate. It keeps you level. It teaches you what you needed. So, man, that was deep. All right. So let's talk about you guys' future plans for Heal My Sister and with the ministry that it entails. What would you guys like to do more? Just I would say in 2020. What are some of the things that you guys have planned or would like to do or like to collaborate with?
Well, some of the plans that the Lord has given me, I often put God first because it is Him.
Hey, you got to do it.
So some of the plans that He has given me is to, for one, the book.
All right.
The Search. Can we talk about it now?
Yes, let's do it. That was my segue, actually. Let's do it.
The Search for the True Church is one of the books that God has given me. Back in 2016, I was asleep, and the Lord just gave me a vision of the book. I didn't think I was a writer. I didn't think I could. I know I speak, but I didn't think I would be able to put it on paper, be able to write a book. But the Lord gave me that in a vision. He named the book Himself, and He even orchestrated the book. Even as I was writing it, before I would start, I would say, Lord, I'm putting the pen to the paper. Now I need you to write it. So everything that's written in that book is truly orchestrated by God. And it's going to bless the nations. He told me that this is a much needed book. It's not talking about religion. It's not talking about denominations. It's not talking about all the things that have already divided the body of Christ. But it's talking about the body of Christ. It's talking about the true church. It's addressing the true church and the reason for God even bringing His kingdom here on earth. The purpose of the church. And it's kind of being a mouthpiece for those that have been wounded, those that have been, as we often hear, the church hurt, those that have been hurt by the church. It's a mouthpiece for those that feel as though they don't have a voice. And it's an eye-opener to the offenders that this offensive behavior is going on and that God is not pleased. So it's
better step on those toes.
It's going both ways, but it's to help, it's to let those know that, look, I'm on the inside, but I get you.
Right. I
hear you. I understand how you're feeling, but God is not that way. God have people that will love you. God have people that will accept you. So in this book, I'm very transparent. It's my life, but it's the heart of many. God has told me that this book will go national. I have, with this ministry, have gone to Ivory Coast, Africa in 2017. The Lord allowed me to spearhead an 8-day evangelism crusade there. In March, we will be in Liberia. So God is doing a great thing. I just think it's a message that He's trying to convey in this hour, and I'm just one of the mouthpieces. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of what's to come. Yeah, it's a kingdom move.
I feel like that book can be the appetizer for your ministry. And what I mean by that is I mean this in no offensive way to any pastors or ministers out there. It's just churches are now a dime a dozen. And when you see so many of something, you lose value of it.
Mm-hmm.
So because you begin to wonder, why is it everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
What makes you different from them? You know, and you hear about the politics that can occur in church.
Mm-hmm.
And politics is not in God's word. That has nothing to do with that. And with this generation, church hurt people are more vocal than what they used to be. Back in the day, they used to just quietly leave out the church, but now they put you on blast. You know, such and such was doing such and such. I don't mess with them. I don't go there. And such is with such and such when it shouldn't be. I get that. But the fact that you are stepping outside and like, look, every church isn't like that.
Yeah.
Those are just the people. And you bringing attention on the other end that, hey, that's not cool.
Yeah.
You know, because I think the church needs to evolve with the times. And so what I mean by that, you can't serve everyone the word the same way. Sometimes you have to meet them at their level because some people are not starting out at the church. So where these stricter responses or these stricter sermons, you're not going to give a baby an algebra exam, are you?
No.
You're going to ease them in. You're going to give them the basics first. And I think that's where the disconnect is. So with you addressing the tension, it's going to bring attention. So I kudos on that. People are afraid to do that. And so transparency is everything, like I was telling you guys in the beginning. So keep telling your story, keep being honest, and I know the following will be there. And be safe on your trip. And I look forward to reading this book myself. I'm going to have to get up with you afterwards, Cashapp you or something to get my copy because I'm interested now.
Yes.
So my next question, and this one is more of the positive, you know, what were some of the more positive memories that you guys have had over the year, just in reflection? Just what was something that kind of reminded you, you know what, this is why we do this, you know?
Let me say, as I began to grow more and more in my relationship with Christ, and I came to know who he was for myself, you know, I started, like she said earlier, I started to see people, I always have, but focus more so seeing people for who they are, who God would see them. You know, I see past the makeup and I see past the, you know, the nice suit, you know, dress. You know, I've dealing with things that I've dealt with. I felt like it's allowed me to have more empathy on people. I rather, if I was on the street, I'd rather say hello to the man that may have the cup or may be in need of something, rather than the man that's walking down with the nice shoes and suit, you know, because I know that man that's with the cup, he needs his portion for the day, just so as I need my portion, you know. And the man in the suit, he's not so worried about so much as me and the guy, you know, that I was talking about earlier with the tin cup. We're on the same page, you know. So it's important for us to see, especially in this time. You know, it's you and I all know time is winding up, and lately God has had me like, man, I'm just in this vessel for this appointed time, trying to, you know, get what I can out of the way, His will, you know, while I'm here, you know, and I just want to do God's work. I just want to live that way. Yeah.
I like the fact that she said the man with the tin cup, that you guys were in the same boat. But the guy with the suit didn't need anything, and that's what God is coming after. He's tearing down that stigma, like I got it all together, and He wants us to know that we are all in the same boat. Whether what position you hold, what title you hold, we are in the same boat. We are all striving for perfection. We're not a perfect people, but we are striving. So He's coming after that stigma, you know, that holier than thou, you know, persona that we want to put out, and that I came out the womb saved. No, we all came out the womb shaping in iniquity. You know, so God is some of the things that have really was positive that you asked the question, what was some of the positive things to it's just to see lives. I've seen lives just have been transformed. I've seen testimonies have come to me where they were on the verge of committing suicide. But because they clicked on to the prayer live, you know, it ignited them, it helped them, it strengthened them. Countless number of testimonies that God, that I've received, encouraging me to keep on.
Right.
That's the only way I look at that. It's an
important.
encouragement to what you're doing is what God has called you to do. And because of that, it's effective. It's helping people. So that's the only thing I can say that, other than favor. I mean, favor. Man can't stop what God has blessed.
Ain't fair.
No.
And that's the point.
And they just can't curse it. So I know
Right.
the favor of God is upon this ministry.
All right.
I know it's upon everybody that's connected to it. I know it's upon my life because of not just because I'm walking it out, but because of obedience and because of the heart. God has to grant His word.
His word is law.
I mean, he has to do that if we remain faithful, consistent, and focused. Yeah. So lives has just been changed. It's what has been so heartfelt to me. It started out like this. It was about how many of us? Maybe about, for the first year, my sister.
I think maybe like 10 or 12.
Maybe about 12 of us. Victoria is actually the photographer.
Really?
Yeah, she does all of my pictures and everything for the ministry. But yeah, I've seen ladies come in broken, married women, broken, torn, but yet they walk out feeling like they're a woman again, feeling like they are somebody, feeling the love of Christ, just by the little bitty example of what God is.
Yeah. And I can understand seeing that, giving you that renewed sense of purpose, because with you, I'm going to be honest, with you being just a human, a lot of times when you're doing work, sometimes you're so busy with it, you don't feel like you're making an impact. It's like you're chipping at a wall. And it's like, man, am I even getting anywhere sometimes? And me being transparent, I do that all the time. And I have situations like when I come into contact with you and the people I interview confirm things I'm thinking or I'm dealing with. And you guys are doing that for me. So I think that renewed sense of purpose is important to keep going. So, yeah, that's amazing to come in and bring in those women. And even if it's just one, just coming in and it's like, yo, I was on the verge, but you brought me back. That gives you that confirmation that what you are doing is validated. You are here for that purpose. So be that instrument. Don't be ashamed of it. All right. So my next question, I call this the long-term question.
Okay.
And if you need a moment to think about this, I completely understand, because a lot of people do. So where would you guys like to see yourselves in the next 1 year, in the next 3 years, and then the next 10 years?
The next 1 year, which would be 2020,
Hey,
I would see myself
see what I did there? 2020, 2025. I got
getting established, getting better established, like, what God is doing now, establishing the ministry. He's now, putting things in place for the ministry to really be that tool that he has designed it to be. In 3 years, I see the ministry just being known. I mean, it's growing. It's growing. In 3 years, I see it being known. I see several books. 10 years, I see it just impactful, and have embarked a movement, not only with Led by God, but I see other churches getting on board now. I see other churches 10 years from now saying, I get it, I missed it, I'm sorry, let's rebuild, let's reshape, let's come together with this kingdom movement. I see it as being a movement. It's going to be a movement. It's going to be a movement. In 10 years, I see it being a movement. Have you ever heard of the Azusa movement?
I haven't.
The Azusa movement, you've heard of the Azusa movement. Was out in California back in, don't make me quote dates, I want to say maybe the early 90s, maybe 80s. Don't make me quote dates. But anyway, the Azusa movement was a big revival, and it brought in hundreds of thousands of people to Christianity. And that's what I see. Look it up when you get a chance. The Azusa is Azusa. But anyway, it embarked, a movement for God. And that's what I see Led by God, not only embarking a movement of those that are unsaved, but it's embarking a movement to those that were saying they're already called. Like a movement. It's going to be a movement. That's the only thing I can say. It's going to be a movement.
I appreciate that. Ambition is key.
It's going to be a movement.
Especially when you have this, you guys have to think forward. So I look forward to seeing you guys. Maybe, you know, if I'm a little bit bigger, maybe I have a larger platform, we can do a touch-up in 10 years and be like, compare it or something. I think that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
All right. So, did you guys have any other upcoming events that you're going to be part of, or?
I do have several upcoming events. The first one will be the book signing, which will be January the 11th.
All right.
I'm excited. We're excited about it. I just first want to say I love my girls. My team is phenomenal. God has truly built me surrounded me by a group of ladies that they see the vision. They know my heart. They're there whenever I need them. God has really surrounded me with a group of ladies, and I love them to life. So we're excited about the book signing, which will be January the 11th here in Mobile. It'll be at Sophia's Art Gallery. To those that are on Facebook, you can follow me on Facebook as well. On January the 25th, I want to invite you to come to this too, man of God. On January the 25th, I will be having the Reset. It's an encounter. It's going to be a night of prophetic worship, a night of prophetic prayer. It's not going to be a preach word, but it's going to be prophetic declarations. So I have several prophets, several prophetess that are pray in certain areas that God has given me to assign them. And they'll release a prophetic word concerning that. God has told me in this hour that he's resetting the minds of the people. He's resetting the hearts of the people before the titles, before the hoopla, before, he's resetting us back to the beginning.
Gotcha.
The reset.
Okay.
That's going to be January the 25th. We have that flyer.
Really cool name, by the way.
The Reset.
That's a real.
The Reset.
I would love to come.
Very prophetic atmosphere. We're totally unchurched. Everything about me is unchurched.
I have a sister podcast that I think will be really interested in that. They're called Obedience Podcast. And I'm going to give you their information when we get done on here, so you guys can talk with them. I know you guys would click really well, really well.
Okay.
But yeah, I appreciate the invite. I'll definitely make my way. Look, I'm all about, as you can see my vision board up there a little bit.
Awesome.
I'm all about
love the
bringing
artwork
things.
Too, as well.
That's all me, except the Maryland Monroe picture. But yeah, that's all me. But yeah, I feel like that's my form of ministry. This podcast being a conduit of the thoughts that people need to hear, because I feel like it's so much negativity, and you're not encouraged to be original anymore.
Yes.
So one day I just said, I just want to paint, and I just started painting. And I may not be in an art gallery, but I'm in my own gallery.
Yes.
So I'm surrounded by my thoughts and my creativity that inspires me, to keep going. Because if you don't hold your work and your baby, your project up to a certain standard, no one else will. So why hold on to my gift or something I think I did that was awesome and just put it in the closet? No. No, I need to put it on the forefront and treat it as if it's a purchase product. That's why I surrounded it with the other pictures, because I feel that my work is just as good and more, like you said, more valuable to me. So
I heard you say something. You said, if I be big enough in 10 years.
Well,
I want to have that, I want to be able to sit on this platform and come and revisit. It's not a if.
You're right.
I just hear, and I don't know why I'm going here, but I just hear the Lord say, start looking for your studio. Start looking for your platform, because every time you sow seeds, you're sowing seeds into ground. And no farmer sow they seed and don't expect harvest. You think you're just doing podcasts and you love to do it, and this is, your foster, but this is a seed that you're sowing. And not only that, you're sowing it, and you're being a blessing. So God can't help but to bless you. Prepare for where you're going. Expect it. Get excited about it. So in 10 years, we will sit again.
Yes.
In a studio.
Yes, ma'am.
And revisit.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. Right.
I'm just telling you, we will. God will not bless the unrighteous and don't bless the righteous. God will not rain on the unjust and don't rain on the just. If you're putting out good things for God, not only for God, but to be a blessing to the people, whatever avenue they're advertising, it's still a seed. Because now everybody's looking for $1.
That's true.
But some of your greatest blessings only come through that you did not even charge.
Right.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
And just because someone is listening, that God needed to get to that person, that's that's a fruit, and God has, like she said, God has to bless that because you blessed them. Through God used you to bless them. So
hey,
that's all. That's a seed.
I appreciate that. That made my heart beat with that. Like,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't even think that you realize and know what you're doing.
Yep.
Well,
I really don't think that you have really phantom the blessings that are coming behind this.
Wow. Well,
I'm just saying.
The way it worked out for me was I've always wanted to do something similar to this because I often and people who are listening to this podcast are like, oh, he talks about this all the time.
That's
but
okay.
Growing up, I remember Ray on the radio, 93 BLX.
Yep.
Ray was everywhere promoting anything that was going on that was positive, and I loved that.
Okay.
And when he passed away, no disrespect to any other DJ, but no other DJ
having the same impact
like he was.
Yes.
And so I told my mom that when I moved back home a couple years ago. And I was like, I want to do a podcast because I want to do what Ray was doing. You know, just be in places and just advertising positivity for the community.
For the people,
Not just a particular community, but every community, just Mobile. And she said, do it. And that same day, because I had just moved into this apartment, she went to the store and bought a sign that said, follow your heart. And she hung it at my door.
Wow.
And that same day I started doing it.
Wow.
And like you said, advertisers, I feel, like you say, only look for the dollar.
Yes.
If you want to do anything positive, I don't care what it is. If it's, whether you rap, whether you write poetry, whether you paint, I don't care. If you want to be out there in the community showing that it's okay to do this, do it. Because I see too many people dying, too many people strung on drugs, too many people feeling like they don't have the validation to do what they want to do. So that's why I said I'm gonna do this. And I'm an introvert. I'm not really the external type. So this is a big step up for me. So in February will be my second year doing this.
Awesome.
So I'm just doing this because my city needs me, and I love it. I love hearing these stories because you guys minister to me.
And it's a call.
It is.
It's a call. It's a call. It's a ministry.
It is.
That's that. That's that out the box thing that you talked about. Ministry is it's so many facets to ministry.
It is.
It's not just this, but this is a ministry.
Now, I did have an interesting question. This is one of my left field questions.
Uh-oh.
And I like to present these. No, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's one of my left field questions because everyone's answer is different for this question. And I feel like this is an appropriate question for the interview we've been having. We often pray to God, and I know there's a formal way to pray, but a lot of my prayers do not sound formal. Sometimes I'll just be washing dishes and I was like, hey, God, what's up with this? And that's how I approach him. I feel like God created me. God understands my communication, so he knows where I'm coming from. So when I just approach him, don't get me wrong, I get down on my knees and tear when I need to. When I feel that, okay, I got to put in my spiritual time because my cup is low, I do that. But sometimes my prayers are just conversations.
Yes.
So it brought me this thought because someone said, you talk to God like he's right there. And I say he is. Yes. So if God was to come down to you right now, and I'll ask starting with you and then we'll get to you, Prophetess. If God was to come down right now, present himself and say, hey, I'm glad you're at the podcast. I was going to be here too. If he gave you the opportunity to ask any one question and answer it immediately for you, what question would you ask?
God.
A little bit of a tough one.
It is. Just why? I think, why, God?
I feel that's legit. I feel that is legit.
Why?
I feel like that is legit.
Yeah. Why? Why is it that things are just the way they are? Like, why is blue? Why is orange? Man.
You're going
and
down
I
the
feel
rabbit
like,
hole. I'm with it.
And then God's gonna have to sit there. You guys gonna be like, And like you said earlier, he already knows me, so he would know already my next thought before I even ask him. So, and then he'll pick up there,
Okay. What about you, Prophetess?
I think my question would be, are you pleased?
Ooh.
Are you pleased with what I'm doing? And if not, how can I improve? Where do I need to improve?
That's what I was
Where do I need to improve? That's my question. Are you pleased? I just want to know, am I pleasing God with what I'm doing? I don't want to please man. I don't want to please the flesh. I don't want to please any type of self-desire. Are you pleased with what I'm doing? And if not, where do I need to change?
I think that's important because I was just about to ask you the flip side of that question. Because when you ask God a question, I think a lot of people are content with the thought of praying, but not content with the idea of receiving the response. Because a lot of times the response is correction. And you have to be open to that correction. Because I feel like a lot of times everyone has that one friend or had that one friend. Man, I have this going on, that's going on. Well, you need to do this, this, and this. Yeah, you're right. I do need to do that. I can't stand those conversations. I can't stand them because I know what that means. That means you just hit me with the wow, that's crazy moment.
Yes.
In one ear, out the other.
Yes.
And I think we do that to God sometimes. I think we think God a lot of times. Let me preface my statement. A lot of times I hear people say they pray and they feel like God doesn't answer them. I think God is like a parent in some cases. What I mean by that, if you keep asking your mom for a glass of water every day, after a while she just gets quiet. Why? Because she's already answered you. Sometimes we're praying about stuff that you've prayed about 2-3 years ago, and you got an answer. May not have been the answer you wanted, but you got an answer. God sometimes will get quiet because you're actually praying for an answer that he's not going to give. So I think when you're accepting to that correction, that reflects back on the self-evaluation we were talking about earlier. Looking at yourself and having them peel back and, why am I praying for this?
Yes.
You know, what motivates me to pray for that? And then you can get down into your core.
And not only that, we have to understand that a teacher is always silent during the test.
Can we get that on a t-shirt?
That's
I feel
good.
like
the teacher
needs to be on the
is
shirt.
always silent during the test. So a lot of times we are praying about a thing and God is taking us through a thing.
Wow.
He's teaching us something in the test. But we being flesh, we want instant now. I want to know what's going to be the end result of this. Where you take, we want now. But we have to allow patience to have a perfect work. We got to be patient with God the same way he's patient with us. You know what I'm saying? So, and when we talk about prayer is my baby. That's my area. I'm an intercessor. I love prayer. When we talk about prayer, there's different levels of prayer. There's different types of prayer. We can go on and on about prayer. But prayer is a language. It's a communication between you and I are communicating. Prayer is the same way. We're communicating with the Father. So if I'm talking to you, talking, and I never give you a chance to respond, I didn't give you a chance to respond, so I can't say you didn't answer me.
Wow.
I just overtalked you.
You did.
And that's the same way it is with prayer. We go down, Lord, lay me down to sleep, and then we're done. We get up and we're finished.
Right.
But we didn't take time. Prayer takes time to hear from God. And most of the time, some of the times your answer don't come through audible.
So you might miss it.
Sometimes your answer may come looking at that TV screen, looking at that screen and boom, there go your answer. So we have to be, and that's why it takes a relationship with God in order to even communicate with this God. You know what I'm saying? You have to know a person. You got to spend time with a person. You got to have a relationship with God to try to figure God out. You can't.
That's the basis.
Understand it. Yeah.
That's the reset. He's taking us back to the place of prayer. Prayer is the beginning of it all. Prayer is the beginning of it all.
I like that. I like that.
And from there is where God has given me the platform of Facebook. I am on Facebook Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at what time do we come on? Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Okay. But for the past 2 weeks, for the past 10 days, God has commissioned me to come on every night at 8 p.m. throughout the year 2019. Okay. So every night we've been praying strategically in different areas, in different areas that God has given me to pray, positioning ourselves for what we're expecting. Okay. So we're on every night, Facebook Live, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time throughout the new year. And once the new year come back in, we'll be back on at 5:30 a.m. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, if anyone wants to get in contact with you guys regarding whether it's Heal My Sister or, just maybe a special word, because sometimes a lot of my listeners approach me and they would like to get in contact with you. So I've started to incorporate you guys, because I'd much rather them follow you, because I can't, speak to them as you, So where could they find you? Could you spell your name and things?
Yep, they can find me first of all on Facebook. It's Tangi Dunning, Tangi Dunning. Okay. They can also find me on Instagram, prophetess_Tangi.
Okay.
They can inbox me, email me at ledbygod.ptd@gmail.com as well. Okay. They want to purchase a book, they may do so at Cashapp, $ Cashapp Prophetess Tangi, as well as paypal.me at Prophetess Tangi.
All right, and if you're watching this wonderful video, I've probably already input the nice little captions with the little logos and everything, so feel free to purchase a book. I know I'm going to. So what about you? Do you have anyone you want to shout out, or what about if anyone want to contact with you?
If anyone just wants to contact me, if it's just for a talk, or I could just tell you about the goodness of Jesus, my Facebook name is Victoria Monique, Victoria Monique. Of course, also I'm with, like I said, with Prophetess Tangi under Led by God Ministries, the mother of Heal My Sister. And I just invite you all to come and see what it's all about, because it's more than a sisterhood. We're kingdom builders.
All right. Well, I'll include that information again in the description below. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening on SoundCloud, on the app, just look at the description, have the information there. Please come and support these events. We talk about the crab in the barrel mindset. Let's break that for this upcoming year. Yes. Let's support each other. If you want people to support you and believe in your dream, believe in someone else. I'm a firm believer in supporting local businesses, black businesses, white business, Mexican, Latino. It don't matter. If you're local, I'm buying from you.
Yes.
So with that being the case, please feel free to reach out. If you want to get in contact regarding a business minute, 2020 dating podcast @gmail.com. or message me directly, Jeremy Evans, on Facebook or on my fan page, Sir, or also on the 2020 podcast page on Facebook. We're always there, receptive and ready. And I want to thank you both for coming on today.
Thank you.
You guys have blessed me beyond words. I'm just coming in from Huntsville. Had a lot to digest over the weekend and the holidays, and you guys really confirmed what I needed to keep going today. So thank you for indirectly blessing me. So before we go, was there anyone you guys want to give a shout out to?
I just want to give a shout out to all of my followers. I want to give a shout out to everyone that's connected with Led by God Ministry, that's connected to Heal My Sister, that's been purchasing the book, The Search for the True Church. I do not take it for granted. I thank God for you, amen. Without you, there would be no me. He said, where any two are touching and agreeing on anything on this earth, he said it shall be. So I want to say thank you. I want to say I love you from the bottom of my heart. If my arms were wide enough, I would do one big group hug, and we will often, amen, just love on each other. But be encouraged, be strengthened, stay focused. Know that you are somebody in Christ, no matter what walk of life you'll find yourself.
All right. Victoria, anybody you want to give love to?
I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my mom. She turned 33 today.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Mom.
And we're just going to go do it up. Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have fun. Thank you again for tuning in. I'm Sir, Prophetess Tangi. Again, thank you. Victoria, you guys have both been great. And Heal My Sister, they're here and support. So thank you for tuning in. We're out.